Okay, let's talk about this whole thing of other people are you pushed out and how we simultaneously create each other for support. Does anybody know exactly how it is? I don't think so. How are they going to know exactly how it is? So you really shouldn't burden yourself with trying to figure out things that you can't really figure out. You can't truly know. But, we have some ideas. Sorry about the thing with my hair. That's not my hair. I'm using a background with like a green screen type thing, and it's an app, and it's a little shaky when the light is low. That's my grandfather and my mother in the background a long time ago, because she's in her 80s now. So I lost him in 1999. I loved my grandfather. He's the only grandfather I actually knew. My other one died when I was either a baby or before I was born. And it's weird. Just as a quick aside, this grandfather here, he once tried to explain to me that, he didn't believe the Bible either, but he did believe in God. He always said he believed in God, but he couldn't really explain to me what he really believed. Odd, right? So people are okay. So let's take an example, right? I'm walking down the street, and I happen to say I've been wanting lately to express charity of some sort because it would make me feel good, right? And I happen to come across a homeless guy, right? And or even just have a friendly conversation. I'll actually give you an example from real life that I just remembered from several years ago. I was on a New York City subway train, and there was a guy, he was panhandling, but he was an older gentleman, and he was doing it in a nice way. And he wasn't in your face, and he was friendly, and he seemed like a genuine nice guy, and he kind of was asking for money, and honestly, I didn't even have $1 in my pocket because most of the time you use plastic. You use a debit card or something. So I told him, I said, because he was very personable, nice, and I said honestly, I would give you something, except I honestly don't have any cash on me. And I was honest with him. I said, I only have credit cards, and he smiled at me and his eyes went up. And at that moment, I knew exactly what he was thinking, and we both laughed. And he goes, "I take plastic," and it was funny. He knew I was going to get a credit card, but he was just joking. And we kind of shook hands, and he was just a really nice guy. I wish I could have given him something, and I remember that as I'm looking for this. And so anyway, at that moment, he may have needed something, and I may have needed something. And even though we didn't know each other, in our respective realities or from our respective perspectives, we mutually created each other. Now, in reality, we are all vessels, temples of God, okay? And I am no better than that homeless man. Elon Musk is no better than I. Bill Gates is no better than I. I am no better than the poorest person you could come across. We are all, God lives inside every single one of us. And we are all related in a way, okay? So we tend to forget this in our day-to-day. But every so often you should think about it. And you should be a little humble about it. See, a lot of this I am stuff, yes, we connect to God and we assert ourselves spiritually and we know that we are controlling things. We are the operant power. But at the same time, this should never be done in a conceited, it shouldn't be done in a conceited way. It shouldn't ever be done in a way where, well, I'm better than him or I'm better than her. And, a lot of us have done that at times. It's a human thing, but every so often you should ground yourself and really meditate on the fact that we're all vessels of God. God is within all of us, right? Just as Neville said. So, so we are supporting each other in this journey, and it's this complex, If you could step out of yourself, of your reality, and look in, you might see, almost like the way the planets, right? You look at how the planets orbit a star, right, in a planetary system. Some might go this way, some are a little off, whatever. But there's this complex dance, and you have the moons, you have asteroids, and there's this. If you've ever seen one of these models, it's a very complex dance. It's the same, it's similar thing, concept. Our lives and our situations and what you may need for support in a moment gets pulled in from somewhere and created. But at the same time, you're getting pulled in to support someone else in a different way. And it may be completely trivial or normal to you, and you don't, of course, don't notice it, but you are also being summoned, as it were, to support others in their journey. It's a mutually beneficial thing, okay? So that's the way I like to think about it. And it kind of makes sense in a weird way. So, so we're all here to support each other in complex ways that our intellect can't comprehend. Your greater self, your God self, totally gets it, totally knows what to do and knows what levers to press and what levers to pull and what buttons to press. But, you don't have to know. It's just like the whole thing with, putting your attention out there. You don't have to worry about how it's going to happen. You just know that it will. And you submit it. You send it out there. Okay? So when it comes to these complex dances, this dancing of these actions between different people's avatars, if you will, right? We're like avatars in this life. We're like our greater selves avatar, right? It's like, think of a video game, right? Think of a video game where you're out there, the user of the video game, the player of the game is like your big self controlling your avatar in this other reality, right? Your avatar most of the time doesn't know about the real you out here, right? It's a similar thing. And in these immersive games now with like the internet and everything, where you got other people controlling those other avatars are being controlled by, others. But the others in reality aren't individual others, but they're all connected. They're aspects of God, right? So you could go crazy thinking about it, which is why it doesn't really matter. You don't need to know on that level. It's not really going to benefit you one way or the other, Maybe when you exit this life, it'll be all explained to you and it'll make perfect sense. you don't need to worry about that stuff. Now, I know that, some people, they want to understand every little thing to make sure they're not following some crazy cult, right? Well, like Neville said, right? I'm not looking to sign you up into anything, right? I'm not representing any kind of a church here. Neither was Neville Goddard, or neither were any of these other people on YouTube who are doing this. If they are, run away. Okay? Neville even said, beware of holy men. Beware of the holy man, especially when they want money. Like directly want money. So, and he even said, don't just take it from me. Put it to the test. Put it to the test. Give it a real test. And you'll see that it really is real. As crazy as it may sound when you stumble upon it. So that's all I can say, But, if you're waiting for somebody to prove it to you in a scientific way, forget it. They can't. They can't. Um, like if you're like some atheistic scientific person who has to have everything explained to you scientifically, and well, good luck. Maybe that's just you're here in this life to live it that way, and you're not really meant to expand it in this life, right? To get the expanded awareness. Or maybe it's going to take you a little while for it to sink in, to try it as you come out of that, that as you're transitioning to a different knowing, right? So, we all find this material and generate it for a reason, I would think, right? It's not just random. I was always taught or told that, or explained to me that if you come upon this material, it's because you have a desire on a certain level to interact with it in a more direct way, to take control, as it were, to take control of your avatar, and to, in other words, at some point, living in this other dimension, paradise, whatever, this energy beings that we really are. We had it perfectly. We have everything we want. So we created this, this simulation where we can literally encapsulate ourselves into these small, limited bodies and physics, right? To experience limitation. Because if you're an unlimited being with everything at your disposal, maybe it would be fun to play on this level for a while, right? And you live your little life here for a while, and then when it's over and you pass on, right? Pass away with your avatar. We'll use that terminology for now, for lack of a better one. When your avatar in this life has lived its life and passes away, it kind of like goes home to mama, right? And mama being your larger self, it's kind of like they fuse and all the knowledge comes back. It's like you're waking up from a dream. Like, wow, wasn't that a great ride? Like, wasn't that ride in that park that we went to, that amusement park or whatever, wasn't it great? It felt so real, Wow, that was awesome. I want to do it again. This time I want to do it as a, then you get like reincarnation, right? I want to do it this time as this kind of a person, Maybe I want to do it as a different gender, a different race, or whatever. Or maybe I want to live it on another planet as some alien, right? Who the heck knows how deep it goes? I'm getting crazy philosophical here, right? We're just talking and throwing things around. So, I'm sure a lot of people wonder about that. They're like, well, wait a minute. It's almost like those memes where you see the guy smoking a pot or something, and he starts thinking about some crazy thing, and like they show a close up of him, and he's like, it's like you can go down the rabbit hole, right? So, but don't go too deep because it's like, what's it really going to benefit you? You know, um, just I'm just throwing it out there as a possible as a way to, I guess make some of the concepts a little more understandable from this perspective. You know, it may or may not help certain people. Some people it may be too crazy to think about in that way, and they prefer not to, and that's fine. But other people may want more. They want more information, or there's just this is my personal take on it, right? But I've done a lot of reading, and others who are in this philosophy kind of mirror a lot of that in different ways, you know. So I'm not saying you have to think of it this way, whichever way makes sense to you. This is just something that's kind of been, I guess, percolating and almost revealed and piecemeal to me, over time. And, I mean, I've been at this in a way for a while. So, yeah. So just understand, I mean, we're each other pushed out, and we're here to mutually support each other in our journey. And we do that, and it happens in such a natural way. You think it's all random accident. And I'm not saying that there can't be random accidents, but a lot of it is most likely not random accident, but it looks and feels that way, which is the whole makes it so real, right? And makes it so natural that you don't even question it. And when you start to question it, you're like, oh. I'll give you another example of how these things, now some people would just say coincidence, but to me, some of this stuff, it just, the way it reveals itself to me, it's not. Yesterday, I was waiting for a bus in the dark to go into New York City, okay? So, I missed the bus, right? And I missed them by like a minute. It was awful. And I waited almost an hour for the next one. So it got light out. The sun came up. And I'm texting my wife. And she says, we have a young daughter who goes to grade school. She says, thanks for eating all of your daughter's Doritos. I didn't eat the Doritos. So I texted back. I said, I didn't eat all of her Doritos. I see her eating them as a snack around the house. Maybe she ate them. When I tell you not less than 5 minutes later, a Frito-Lay box truck comes up from the street, on the street I'm on, slowly starts coming at me, and I'm like looking at it, and I could kind of like make out on the side. I said, you got to be kidding me. This thing slowly comes up and drives by. It's Doritos on the side of the truck. The whole side of the truck was an advertisement for Doritos. Now, I mean, some people would say, oh, just a lucky coincidence. No, I don't care. If you want to believe that, go ahead. That was not some lucky coincidence. That was like, if you want to talk about signs, that's kind of like a sign in a way, but it's not a sign for a manifestation per se. Was it a manifestation? Yes. But it was almost like, hey, I'm going to reveal to you, like, look at this. I'm going to throw these crazy things out here to the point where you can't deny it anymore. You can't question it anymore. That was just a funny one that happened. And I'm glad I remembered it. This literally happened yesterday. I mean, you could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, I couldn't believe it in a way. Like, I can't believe it, right? I believe it. I can't believe it. Because literally, thanks for eating your daughter's Doritos. I didn't eat the Doritos, whatever, and less than 5 minutes later, a truck with a giant Dorito basically drives by me on the road. You know? So, and I was just like, I was chuckling almost to myself inside. There were other people there, so I couldn't do it loudly, but I was like, oh my God. I said, this is amazing, because you show yourself what an amazing creator your higher self can be. It throws out these little, I call them like Easter eggs every so often, and that was like an Easter egg. It's like a glitch in the Matrix, if you will, okay? Glitch in the Matrix, if you know the Matrix movies, that's a perfect example, right? So, tell me what you think about that, or about any glitches. You know, I mean, deja vu is kind of like a weird glitchy thing, right? Like, but this was more direct. This was like literally the word Doritos, and there it was. That was just, you can't even, you can't make this stuff up. So, well, I guess you could, but I'm not. This really happened yesterday. So, so we do support each other, and we create, and there's this complex dance of souls, spirits, whatever, that interact with each other in these weird ways. And that's what it is. We mutually support each other. So that's kind of the way I think of, we're all each other pushed out, and that other people really are other people, right? There's perspectives, there's versions. Other people talk about it as being versions of other people, and they talk about, everything is already done, everything is created. There's all these multiple universes, if you will, like the multiverse, where, and I've even seen other weird things where people were talking about like these near-death experiences, where this one interesting one was this person passed temporarily because it was a near-death, and they were shown themselves, they shifted into another parallel reality where they were living a life there. In other words, your grand self, your soul, your God self is like, I guess, for lack of a better term, like a puppet master. And, you're like the avatar or the puppet, and you may be living in this life, a life there, all simultaneously. And this person was talking about how they were living in, I don't know if it was the city they were living at in this life, or if it was a completely different one, but it was different. The point is that it was different than it is here. It was the same, but it was different. There was a lot of things about it that were different than how it would be here. Okay? I'm not sure exactly what was different, but they're saying it was like the same place, but it was a different place. So, there's those concepts as well. Like I said, it's a rabbit hole. And it's fun to think about. It's fun to look at some of that stuff. But, like I said, I mean, if you're just out to get stuff, shiny things, money, whatever, I guess you could use it for that. I'm personally kind of interested in these multiverse, multiple realities, complex interactions, and things like that. That kind of thing interests me a lot. It's too interesting not to think about. And then there's what's happening in your current reality as well. So, anyway, if I keep talking about this, it's just going to go completely in circles and completely crazy. So, Let's just leave it at that. Anyway, if you like it, let me know. If this kind of stuff is interesting to you, let me know. If you have an interesting take on it, let me know. I may or may not agree with it, but hey, you have at it, And if you've had any of these weird glitchy things that are like too coincidental to be a coincidence, let me know. Let's talk about it, in the comments or whatever. And I hope that this sort of thing is well received, because I try to think about things, not to say the same thing all the time. And this one was kind of like, oh, this is an interesting side topic related to the whole you pushed out, and we all create each other to support each other in our realities. So I hope you enjoyed that. Take care. Please like and subscribe. See you later. And thanks for watching.